Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back from the ad break. You are still watching Prime Life. Now, up next, I have an amazing conversation with Khaliel Moses, and we will be speaking about the People Summit by We the 99. Now, he will be also delving into the movement, discussing its origins, the unique approach and goals, and he will also be sharing insights on the upcoming People Summit, emphasizing the roles of, the youth, artists, and citizens in driving economic justice and a policy reform. Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah so much for joining us, Khaliel, and welcome to Prime Life.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah so much. Now, can you maybe take us back or take us through to what inspired the creation of the, We the 99?
Yeah, sure. So after attending the G20 that happened last year in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, we noted how little room there really is for civil society engagement during the summit, how little room there is for popular engagement. Unfortunately, this problem isn't unique to the G20. At all forms of multilateral engagement, like the COP, Davos, the people may be invited to attend, but realistically, they're being invited to attend as spectators, not contributors. Often we don't have a seat at these negotiation tables. Instead, decisions are made for us, without us. So after attending an alternative gathering hosted by a coalition of Brazilian organizations from the movement for black rights in Brazil to the movement for empowerment and freedom of women, called the People Summit. This is where we were inspired by the real possibilities behind a global, diverse, and people-led movement like this. What kind of impact we could potentially have by bringing people together like this. And so we're continuing this tradition in South Africa.
That's beautiful. Now, for those who may not be familiar with We the 99, because you took us through what inspired it, can you now tell us a little bit more about, the movement and what it stands for?
Yeah, sure. So, what is We the 99? I mean, it's a historic movement where people are convening from every corner of the world. The people, the 99%, are coming together in Johannesburg to write a new story for all of us, one rooted in care, dignity, and justice. So, for 2 powerful days, hospital porters and healers, supermarket workers and students, artists, activists, teachers, and dreamers, and all of us who are part of the 99% will be participating in interactive workshops, dialogues, and creative actions to really imagine the world that we deserve. So, this is something that really can't be replicated by our world leaders who will be convening on the other side of town. It's something they can only really dream of achieving in their G20. On the third day, it'll all culminate in what we're calling the We the 99 Uprising Festival, a massive celebration of global solidarity, rhythm, and resistance. This is where we're going to turn those ideas that we spent those past 2 days dreaming about, imagining, into actual movement, rhythm, and action, using music as a creative tool to convey those messages.
And can you tell us how it differs from other social movements?
Well, I wouldn't say it differs. I think We the 99 is the social movement. We are part of a much broader movement from the majority world around economic justice that unites workers, caregivers, and students, and artists and communities who are all fighting against an unjust system that benefits the 1%. So we're simply acting as the conveners and space holders for the rest of the 99%. But we are and always will be a part of their or our global movement for change. So we aren't separate from other social movements. We aren't different to them. We are them.
That's very interesting. And I want us to talk about the 1%, right? Tell us about, because you mentioning the inequality that's happening, the imbalance that's happening. Tell us about exactly what you're referring to when you're speaking about the imbalance that's happening between 99 and the 1%, so that we can be able to understand a bit more.
Yeah, sure. So currently the world is in a crisis, one that's rife with economic injustice, inequality, and exclusion that means the 1% of the population are benefiting at the cost of the rest of us, the 99%. They're becoming super rich and the wealthy, and hoarding wealth and hoarding control. Currently, the global economic system is built on extraction that began with conquest and colonialism hundreds of years ago. And unfortunately, despite uh, the liberation movements that have happened since then, despite all of the work that we've done as the people of South Africa, for example, to challenge this, those same kinds of challenges persist today through finance and trade rules that privilege this tiny elite. This takes the shape of debt, austerity, and tax avoidance, which have all become structural tools to keep us, the poor, poorer, and dependent on the wealthy. So, what we're really envisioning and calling for are economies that ground themselves in care, that ground themselves in justice and dignity for all of us, where governments are finally accountable to the people, not the corporations that finance them. Health and housing, education, water, and energy are all public goods and accessible, and are things that people can afford, if not are free for the people. So we, the 99, are standing up to this broken economic system and fighting for a world where justice, dignity, and care for everyone exists. It's important to note here that the future belongs to all of us, not just the 1%. And we're coming together as we, the 99, to take it back.
That's very impressive. And can you tell us, how you envision the People Summit contributing to global economic change?
Well, during the summit, we'll be addressing 8 key themes. The first of which is taxing the 1%. So, like I mentioned earlier, the 1% are becoming incredibly wealthy at the cost of all of us, the many. So what we need to do is make billionaires and corporations finally pay their fair share. What we also need to do is end corruption. Corruption is a huge problem in South Africa and actually across the world. What we need to do is stop the theft of these resources and instead take that money that's being lost to corruption and invest it in services that benefit the public, services that benefit all of us. We need to drop the debt. So currently, countries like the global south, countries in the global south, like South Africa, are incredibly indebted to countries in the global north. We owe them huge amounts of money and spend most of our economic budget on actually repaying the interest on these loans, not actually spending the money on key things like healthcare, housing, education. So what we need to do is drop that debt, cancel the debt, and build a fair deal, a fair payment plan that invests in the people, not the banks behind these loans. The fourth thing is corporate accountability. So we need to make the corporations who have destroyed our environment, who have stolen the wages of workers, who have abused workers and committed human rights violations, we need to hold them finally accountable. And we need to, the fifth theme is we need to remake multilateralism. So multilateralism is the engagement that countries have on a global scale, the diplomatic conversations, dialogue that, for example, South Africa has with Brazil, China, and India in BRICS, or the G20 moment. We need to remake those multilateral engagements in a way where those global institutions are fair and they serve people, not power. So, for example, as I was mentioning earlier, we need to remake them so that us, the people, have a seat at the table. We can start to negotiate. The sixth thing is climate justice. We need climate justice now, not later. We're already seeing mass heat waves, incredibly damaging economic disasters across the world that we can't afford to delay on this. We need to ensure that we do everything to save our environment, to save our planet. And that's what climate justice is. Climate justice is also making sure that the rich nations who are largely responsible for fueling the climate crisis through their exorbitant greenhouse gas emissions compared to countries in Africa, they need to pay their fair share. The rich nations need to pay their climate debt that they owe the rest of the world. This means taking the money that they've made from emitting all of these greenhouse gases into our atmosphere and reinvesting it in renewable energy infrastructure that doesn't damage our climate, that helps our environment and our world heal. The seventh theme is we need to finally value and redistribute care work. So there's a lot of work and labor that happens in our societies that goes undervalued. Work usually predominantly done by women in the health sector, in the education sector, and in our communities, in our families. We need to value this. We need to redistribute it in a way that's fair. The eighth thing is we need to end hunger. We're producing far too much food for so many people across the world to go hungry. We need to invest in local production, local food production, and indigenous traditional food systems, and ensure that people's right to eat, people's right to a healthy, sustainable diet is met. So those are the eight issues that we're going to be highlighting during the summit, and the eight issues of the world that we're really challenging and trying to brainstorm solutions for.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And what role do you see youth and artists playing in the movement?
Well, we'll be bringing together activists from around the world, young people and artists from places like Kathmandu in Nepal to Belém in Brazil. And we see the youth and artists as a key part of what we're hoping to create during the People Summit and the We the 99 moment. During this 3-day summit, the youth and the artists are going to be the ones who help drive the imagination, the creativity, and the dreaming that's behind our movement. So they form a really, really important role.
Most definitely. Can you tell us, how the summit's outcome has a potential of actually influencing policy changes at local and international level?
Well, so the summit, it'll be a public platform for global dialogue. So on how these economies can be restructured to deliver justice. And the ideas that we generate there will be shared. The outcomes as well will be shared. All of these very important conversations will be shared with policymakers, just to help serve as a guide for what all future policy should contain. So we're going to, whatever we're discussing will help inform policy decisions that are made at a later stage.
And I believe that, there are obviously ticket prices for this. If yes, please do let us know what they are and also give us the dates, location, so that whoever is watching now that's interested, they can be able to come through.
Yeah, so the summit will be happening from the 20th to the 22nd of November in Johannesburg at Constitutional Hill. You can register or buy tickets on our website, which is wethe99.com. That's we the99 spelled out, no numbers.com. It's important to note that you can't come to the summit without registration, so you really need to register. And if you register for day 1 and day 2, you'll automatically receive what we're calling a free solidarity ticket for the Uprising Festival on day 3. We're also making available an additional 5,000 solidarity tickets, which will be sold at 350 Rand each. Buying these tickets is an act of solidarity. What it means is every paid ticket that you buy, that you purchase, will help us fund free access for those who can't afford the 350 Rand ticket. So this is an act of solidarity between those who can afford and those who can't.
That's a brilliant thing there. And can you maybe tell us how people can stay, engaged with the 99 after the summit?
Yeah, so we're encouraging people to stay engaged through the connections that they make during this moment. So we're acting as a convener. We're bringing people together from all over the world, activists who work on things like healthcare to economic justice to climate, all together in one space to really capacitate and build the movement. And the way we're hoping people can stay engaged is by maintaining those connections and continuing the momentum that's built to foster greater action. What we need to realize is that We're really powerful when we come together, but the wealthy and the politicians of our world are seeking to divide us. They want to isolate us. And what we need to do is resist this. We need to be intentional about the way we form our collectives and come together to act.
I mean, Khalil, this has been such a, fantastic interview and conversation, just learning about, the summit, which is by the We, the 99. So thank you so much for sharing insights and letting us know exactly what to expect from the summit and also just an overall look into what it's all about. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. Viewers at home, this was Khaliel Moses, and we were talking about the People's Summit by We the 99. And, if you do have any questions regarding that, make sure that you do head over to their website and, familiarize yourself with what they do and how you can also be part of the movement and make a change. But on that note, it's time for us to head over to a quick break. We'll see you right after this.